Hi everybody, I just wanted to take a minute and talk about the virtual photosynthesis labs and talk a little bit through photosynthesis again because a lot of you are missing questions that pertain to the reactants and the products of photosynthesis. So if we take a look at our equation, which you had done before, so we have carbon dioxide and water are our reactants, and then our products will be oxygen and glucose, okay? We have to add in sunlight there in order to get this to work. So in the first lab that you did online, you were moving the light closer to the plant and then you were measuring the bubbles that were being produced. So if you think about the products of photosynthesis, it's either glucose or oxygen. So only one of those is going to be produced in the form of bubbles. So what you were actually measuring was the amount of oxygen that was being produced. So as the light moved closer to the plant, oxygen bubbles were being produced faster, meaning that the rate of photosynthesis was faster. Now, the reason why this happens is because of the light-dependent reactions. So if you look at the light-dependent reactions, these are the reactions that happen in the thylakoid, and this is where the sunlight comes in and is absorbed by the photosystems. As the photosystems absorb the light, this creates more high-energy electrons, and this means that it's going to create more of the short-energy storing compounds, so it makes more ATP and more NADPH, and then it will also produce more oxygen because in the light-dependent reactions, water is split and oxygen is released, and then the hydrogen is used to make NADPH. So as we increase the light intensity, then we're going to create more of these electrons that have high energy, and then it's going to create more oxygen, which is what we're measuring. Now, it's also producing more of those short-term energy carriers, which means that we can do the light-independent reactions or the dark reactions more. So the second virtual lab was looking at the color of light and the wavelength of light. In the graph analysis, you were looking at what colors are absorbed and what colors are reflected. So you should know that what is reflected is what we see. So we see green, that's the light that's being reflected. The color that's being absorbed is the color that's being used to excite those electrons in the photosystems. So we absorb really well, blue, violet, and then red also. And so those colors are absorbed really well. Those colors then make the plant grow faster. So whenever we're measuring plant growth, if we think again about our equation for photosynthesis, we produce glucose and oxygen. So which one of those is related to growth of the plant or how big it can get? Well, it has to be the glucose because that's the food that would be used for energy in order to then allow the plant to grow. And so whenever we're looking at colors, we're saying we're measuring the glucose because we're measuring plant growth. Now again, why does light intensity, or why does rather the color of the light, impact the rate of photosynthesis? If we look again at our diagrams, if you look at the light-independent or the light-dependent reactions, you're producing all of those high-energy electrons. You're going to produce them more whenever it's absorbing the light. So if it's absorbing blue light, or if it's absorbing violet light or red light, you're going to produce more high-energy electrons. That leads to there being more of the NADPH being produced, which then goes into the light-independent reactions or the dark reactions. So it goes in, it provides the energy for those dark reactions, and then you can make more glucose. That NADPH and ATP are recycled back to ADP and NAD+. So as we're looking at these, we're saying, hey, if we add more light, it's doing something. It's impacting the light-dependent reactions. The way it's impacting it is by increasing those high-energy electrons and then increasing the amount of those short-term energy storing compounds that are needed in order to make glucose at the end of the day. So hopefully that helps a little bit. Please make sure that you check out the key to that lab and the reasoning for that lab, and make sure that then you can explain it for lesson 4, which is going to be your quiz on photosynthesis. Have a great day, and let me know if you have any questions.